All right, let me tell you something about myself. Ethan Wells. I'm 29, a librarian, and honestly, my life is so organized it practically creaks. Think suburban America, a small public library, and me, always making sure the Dewey Decimal System isn't just a suggestion. Everything in its place, you know? That's me. Total introvert, meticulous to a fault. I like logic, I like science, and I like explanations that make sense. Anything else? Nope, not for me. For years, basically my whole grown-up life, I've worked really hard to convince myself that all those freaky things from when I was a kid, pure imagination, just a messed up brain playing tricks. I'm talking about that gnawing feeling of being watched, those shadows that seemed to slither past my bedroom window, those weird noises that weren't the house settling. Man, I spent my teenage years and early 20s diving into books on psychology, neurology, all that good stuff. Read up on sleep paralysis until I could probably give a lecture. Learned about hypnagogic hallucinations, the kind of trippy stuff your brain cooks up just before you fall asleep or wake up. My conclusion? Rock solid. It was all in my head. Every single bit of it. That conviction, that certainty, it became my foundation, my peace of mind. It was my shield against anything that didn't make logical sense. And yeah, sometimes, even now, a shiver would run down my spine. A cold spot where there shouldn't be one. A ghost of that old feeling, like something was just looking. But I'd just brush it off, literally sometimes. A quick shake of the head. Ethan, I'd tell myself, you're a grown man. Get a grip. It's just the draft. It's just an old memory playing tricks. Nothing real about it. I mean, I had a whole system for dealing with it, a mental checklist. Is there a logical explanation? Yes. Then it's not real. End of story. And for the most part, it worked. My life was fine, predictable, safe, just the way I liked it. My days, they were all pretty much the same. Most mornings, I'd be at the library by 8, the smell of old paper and dust, always a comfort. I'd sort books, making sure every single title was exactly where it belonged, alphabetically, numerically. Dewey Decimal System, my old friend. Sometimes, I'd help Mrs. Gable find her latest romance novel, the one with the shirtless guy on the cover, or redirect some kid who thought the fiction section was a playground. Lunch was usually a sad sandwich and an apple, eaten quickly while browsing a medical journal. Yeah, I know, thrilling. The afternoon would roll into closing time. I'd lock up, check the empty reading room, sweep away the imaginary cobwebs from the dusty old sofas. Every day, the same. Every day, structured. Like I said, life just kept rolling along, right on schedule. No surprises. That was the point. Then, after a day of perfectly aligned books and polite small talk, I'd head back to my apartment. It's not big, but it's mine, and it's perfect in its own way. Every book on its shelf, spines facing out, categorized by genre and author. My coffee mug, sparkling clean, sitting neatly on its coaster on the small side table. My vintage record player humming a classical music playlist in the background, Vivaldi usually, something calming. My clothes folded in drawers. My desk, clear, save for my laptop and a pen. It was a life built on order, on predictability. A life that screamed, see? Nothing out of place. Nothing to be afraid of. This was my fortress, built brick on rational brick. This was me, the model of a logical human being. Or at least, that's what I worked so damn hard to be. Tonight was no different. I was curled up on my armchair, mint tea steaming gently in my favorite mug, lost in a new detective novel, the kind where everything makes sense in the end, where the bad guy is caught, and there's always a clear, logical explanation for all the messy bits. That's my jam. Outside, the wind was doing its thing, rattling the bare branches of the old oak tree by my window. It was a pretty chill sound, actually, kind of cozy even. The kind of night where you just want to sink deeper into the cushions, forget the world, and just read. Then it happened. Not a bang, not a crash, just a soft, a very dry, almost whisper-like clack. My breath hitched. My heart, it just did this frantic little thump-thump-thump against my ribs, like it was trying to punch its way out. The sound came from the bedroom window, the one right next to where I was sitting. It felt personal, like someone had just lightly tapped the glass. Not the wind. The wind was a whoosh, a rustle. This was different. This was a touch. "Damn it," I muttered, the words barely a whisper. My voice felt rough, like I'd just woken up. I slowly put the book face down on my lap. My breathing was definitely faster now, shallow. My eyes darted to the window, then back to the book. "No, come on, Ethan. It's just the wind," I told myself, trying to make it sound convincing, even though my gut was doing a little flip. Must be a loose branch hitting the glass. Gotta be. What else could it be? My legs felt a little heavy as I stood up. Every step towards that window felt deliberate, too deliberate. I reached out, my fingers fumbling for the curtain cord. Then I yanked it open. Nothing. Just the inky black of the night stretching out beyond the glass. The streetlights cast long, creepy shadows from the skeletal branches of the oak tree, making them dance on the lawn. No person, no face, no anything, just the ordinary, boring night. I let out a shaky breath, a small, humorless sound. I could feel the tension draining out of my shoulders, but not completely, not really. Turning away from the window, I gave a little scoff, a self-deprecating one. "Ethan, you're such a scaredy cat," I whispered, the words tasting like ash in my mouth. I tried to chuckle, but it felt forced, so fake. I walked back to my armchair, picking up my novel, but the words just blurred on the page. That icy prickle at the back of my neck, that tiny, insistent thread of unease, it was still there. It just wouldn't go away. I tried to ignore it, pushed it down, shoved it deep into some mental closet, like I'd done thousands of times before. Not real, I told myself. It's all in your head. But this time, it felt colder, and it clung harder. My old man passed, just like that. It hit me hard, way harder than I thought it would. All that meticulous organization, all those carefully constructed routines, they just crumbled. Grief isn't something you can file away in a Dewey Decimal System, turns out. It's this heavy, shapeless blob that sits right on your chest, making every breath a chore. And with it came this suffocating sense that everything was just out of my hands. My perfectly logical world, it started showing cracks, big ones. So I had to head back to Mom's place, the old suburban house, the one I'd practically fled from as soon as I could. The one that used to be the stage for all my childhood freakouts. Now, with Dad gone, it felt heavier, like it was holding its breath. Every creak of the floorboards, every shadow stretching across the hallway just yanked me back to being that scrawny, terrified kid who swore he saw things, heard things. "Damn it," I muttered to myself, rubbing my temples. All those years, all that effort to ditch this stupid baggage, all that logic I'd piled up, brick by rational brick, trying to wall off those memories. And here I was, right back at square one, feeling like that weak kid again. The thought just irritated me, burrowing deep under my skin. The house was a lot. Dust motes danced in the slivers of sunlight that managed to pierce the ancient curtains. Everything smelled like old wood, forgotten memories, and, well, just plain old. Decades of stuff, untouched, layered in silent accusation. Every corner held something that felt like a relic, a piece of a past I'd tried so hard to outrun. My job was to sort through Dad's things, help Mom clear out the accumulated junk of a lifetime.
It felt less like doting on a parent and more like a forensic excavation. Each box I opened, each drawer I pulled out, felt like I was disturbing something that preferred to stay buried. I moved through the house with this strange mix of dread and resignation, like being caught in a slow-motion car crash I couldn't swerve out of. The silence of the place was louder than any noise, a thick, smothering blanket. Mom was mostly downstairs, puttering in the kitchen, making endless cups of tea for herself, lost in her own thoughts. It left me pretty much alone with the ghosts of my past. And by ghosts, I mean the nagging feeling that my perfectly rational brain was getting a workout it didn't need. One afternoon, I was walking past my old bedroom. The door was ajar, a sliver of darkness visible inside. As I passed, a sudden blast of icy air hit my face. It was sharp, chilling, like stepping into a freezer. I froze. My breath hitched. The windows were sealed. I knew they were. I'd checked them myself when we first got here. I rubbed my arms, goosebumps already prickling my skin. Must be the crappy old insulation, I tried to tell myself, my voice sounding a little too loud in the sudden quiet of the hallway. An old house, right? Old pipes, old drafts. Happens. But the shiver that ran down my spine felt deeper than just a draft. It was a cold that got right into your bones. I pushed the bedroom door shut with more force than necessary, as if that would seal away the feeling too. A few days later, I was up in the attic. The air was thick with dust and the smell of mothballs. Old furniture, draped in white sheets, loomed like silent sentinels. Boxes upon boxes, stacked haphazardly. My task was to go through Dad's old military uniforms, his fishing gear, old photos, all the things Mom couldn't bear to touch. I was elbow deep in a box of forgotten fishing lures when I heard it. A soft, rhythmic creak from downstairs. My head snapped up. Creak, creak, creak. It was distinct, like someone was walking slowly across the floorboards. I knew Mom was in the kitchen, making dinner. Her movements were always punctuated by the clatter of pots and pans, the sizzle of oil. This was different. This was lighter, deliberate. My stomach tightened. Rats, I thought, trying to conjure up the image of a furry rodent scurrying around. Just rats. This old place probably had a whole colony. Creak, creak, creak. The sound moved. From the living room, then towards the hallway, right under where I was standing. My hands, sticky with attic dust, clenched. Just rats, I said aloud, my voice coming out shaky, clearly more rattled than I wanted it to. It was supposed to be convincing. To me, to whatever was making that sound. I tried to ignore it, to focus on the rusty fishing hooks in my hand, but the creaking continued, slow, steady, unsettlingly regular. Each one felt like a step closer. I could practically feel the floorboards shifting under an unseen weight. Hours bled into days up there. I spent so much time digging through old junk, it felt like I was wading through quicksand. My hands were permanently grimy. My back ached. My carefully constructed mental barriers felt like they were getting sandblasted. Then I found it. Tucked away in a box filled with my old action figures and faded comics, a crayon drawing, crumpled, yellowed with age. I remembered it. I drew it when I was, maybe 7 or 8? My stomach clenched as I unfolded it. It showed a house, my house, and through one of the windows, a small stick figure, clearly me, was looking out. But what really got me were the 2 distorted, shadowy figures outside. Just dark blobs, a little lopsided, standing under a gnarled tree, looking in. I remembered the sheer terror I felt as I drew them, my little hand shaking, trying to capture that creeping sense of being watched. "Stupid kid," I mumbled, my voice rough. I pinched the nose on the stick figure in the drawing, a pathetic attempt at dismissing the memory. But my fingers, I noticed, were trembling slightly. I shoved it back into the corner of the box, pushing it deep under a pile of old trading cards. Tried to not think about it. Tried. But a tiny, insistent thread of unease had been sewn right there in my chest. It was a cold, thin line, coiling itself around my heart. Later, I was tackling the bookshelves in the living room, dusting off encyclopedias no one had touched in decades, old novels with brittle pages. Among them, I found an old neighborhood photo album, the kind with sticky, clear plastic sheets. I flipped through it. Pictures of block parties, kids on bikes, awkward family portraits from the 90s. Then I stopped. There was a photo, taken from our front yard, looking down the street. It was a wide shot, showing a few houses, and in the distance, on the porch of one particular house, Old Man Crowley's place. The name just floated into my head, a whisper from the past. Oh, right, the weird old neighbor. On his porch, a blurry, dark speck. It was hard to make out, but it looked like a person, sitting there, looking straight at our house, my childhood home. I peered closer, my eyes straining against the faded colors and the grainy quality of the old photo.
It really did look like someone was just sitting, watching. He's probably just reading the newspaper, I told myself, my voice barely audible. My gut twisted. I quickly flipped the page, as if that would erase the image, but it didn't. A nameless unease, a deep, unsettling feeling wrapped itself around me. It wasn't the kind of fear I could just rationalize away anymore, not with a mental checklist. This was different. This felt sticky, like a web, and I was right in the middle of it. Man, I've been stuck at Mom's place for almost a month now. Feels like a lifetime. That whole feeling watched thing, it's not just some weird shadow playing tricks anymore. It's like a brick on my chest, heavy and constant, every single day. It's messed up, seriously. Between trying to deal with Dad being gone, the endless boxes of junk, and all the creepy stuff that's been happening, my head's a total wreck. My brain, the one I used to brag about being all logical and scientific, it's just frayed, like an old rope about to snap. I keep catching myself just staring out the window of my old bedroom. Not because I'm looking for anything, you know. It's just, I can't stop. And it's not just fear anymore. There's this gross, sticky curiosity mixed in, like I want to see whatever the hell is out there, even though every fiber of my being screams, don't. I can't be going crazy, I mumbled under my breath, my voice thin, just trying to hold on to something, anything. I needed an explanation, a damn reason, because if I couldn't rationalize this, then what was left? Nothing. Just me, a grown man, freaking out like a little kid again? The thought made my stomach churn. So yeah, there I was, knee-deep in more of Mom and Dad's ancient crap. This time it was the master bedroom closet. I figured this spot would be safe. No childhood boogeymen here, right? Just clothes from the 80s and maybe some old shoes. My plan was to just power through it, get this whole house clearing thing over with, and bail. Get back to my perfectly dull, perfectly predictable life. The library, my books, my quiet apartment. That was my happy place, or what used to be my happy place. Now it felt miles away, a fantasy. I was digging around the bottom drawer, the one that always smelled faintly of mothballs and something else, something dusty and sweet, like forgotten flowers. Underneath a pile of those embroidered tablecloths that only ever saw the light of day at Thanksgiving, my fingers hit something hard. Not fabric, not wood, something stiff and leathery. I pulled it out. An old diary. The cover was dark brown leather, all faded and scuffed, pages yellowed at the edges. Mom's. I guess she kept it hidden in here. My chest felt a weird pang. What was she writing about back then? Before me, when I was little. I flipped it open, just skimming at first. Stuff about her day, neighborhood gossip, the usual. Then I hit a section. It was around the time I would have been, 8, 9 years old? The entries started mentioning me. Ethan's worries, she called them.
My heart started thumping a little harder, a weird rhythm against my ribs. She wrote about my sleepless nights, the way I'd wake up screaming sometimes, about how I'd refuse to look out the window after dark, or how I'd talk about the man watching me. Each line was a punch to the gut. I remembered those feelings, the pure gut-wrenching dread, the shadows that danced, the shapes outside the glass. But I'd always buried it, always told myself it was just me, my imagination. Kids are weird, right? My brain had built a fortress of logic around those memories, cementing them firmly in the paranoid child category. Then I saw it. The entry. My eyes locked onto the date. I was 9. And the words, they just froze me. It was written so casually, so matter-of-factly, like she was just talking about the weather. Ethan still says someone is watching him from the window. His dad says it's just his imagination, but I saw it too. That strange old neighbor, Mr. Crowley, just sitting on his porch, staring at the house. He was always there after dinner, right when Ethan went to bed. It gave me the creeps, but his dad said he was harmless, just lonely. My breath hitched. It just stopped. My lungs felt like they forgot how to work. That carefully built reality, the one I'd spent literally my entire adult life constructing, brick by logical brick, it just exploded.
Scattered into a million tiny, sharp pieces. It was like someone had just hauled off and slapped me across the face. Hard. The sting wasn't physical, not really, but it hurt in a way that made my vision swim. All those years, all that convincing myself, all the nights I'd spent reading neuroscience textbooks, trying to prove I wasn't crazy. Gone. Just like that. If it wasn't my imagination, if it wasn't just some messed up thing in my head, then who the hell was Mr. Crowley? What was he watching? And what the hell happened during all those nights when I was a kid? My hands, they were shaking so bad, the old diary almost slipped from my grasp. The paper rustled against my sweaty palm. And just as I was rereading that last line, that awful, damning sentence, I heard it. Tap, tap, tap. It was clear, distinct, right from the window of my old bedroom, the one just across the hall. It sounded like someone was tapping a finger, lightly, deliberately, against the glass. And then a cold, not just a draft, not the crappy old insulation I'd blamed before. This was a sudden freezing blast that hit me from behind, like someone was standing right there, breathing ice down my neck. It was so cold, so deep, it made every single hair on my body stand on end. Goosebumps exploded over my arms, my legs, my scalp. I froze, just froze, couldn't move a muscle. My eyes, they were glued to the shadowy crack of the hallway leading to my old room. That feeling of being watched, it wasn't a memory anymore. It wasn't a ghost. It was real. A cold, heavy, unexplainable reality wrapping itself around me. A drop of sweat, ice cold, traced a path down my spine. I couldn't even take a full breath. "What the fuck?" I whispered, my voice raw and scraped, barely a sound. "Who the fuck is Mr. Crowley?" I stared at the window in the dark, silent hallway. What the hell was looking at me? The feeling was sharper now, clearer than it had ever been in my life. Like a predator, hiding, just waiting.